Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of DEO's Growth Secrets Podcast. I'm Jake Poole, the CEO of the DEO, and I have a special guest with me, Amol with Patient Prism. So Amal's been a longtime friend, and we're going to talk today about something a little different. Actually, Amal, some probably topics that we've never talked about together, which is just the life of a CEO and how you think about leadership and how you think about growing your company. Patient Prism, gosh, I think you guys must have launched, 2015, 2016, somewhere around there. That's when
Right.
we first met. And I've been in touch with you since then. I've seen the whole journey. You all have grown and expanded. You've worked your tail off in this industry, really trying to help people. Really was living out one of our core values inside the DEO, which is giving to get. I saw you just give, give, give. And here we are. You're at an inflection point with your business where you're starting to expand into other healthcare verticals. You're expanding into other continents. And I would love to get into how you're thinking about leadership. So before we do, maybe a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Patient Prism.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an accidental technologist. I was trained as a CPA, ran a CPA firm doing M&A work for healthcare and dental companies. Um, 10 years ago, I had a professional midlife crisis saying, hey, I need to do something else with my life than accounting. Launched Patient Prism as an AI company and launched a hedge fund with both of those businesses have thrived really well. Completely different verticals. One was in finance, trying to use math to manage money and algorithms to manage money. And then we decided to optimize the patient experience using math as well, which is data science, which is the foundation of AI. And I simply started in 2015. I asked my co-founder, hey, could we teach Alexa how to understand dentistry? That was the question that got everything going. And 8 years down the line, uh, we've built AI that actually helps improve the human connection. Not AI that just, okay, well, here's AI. AI is the biggest noisemaker today. And the way we think about AI through all my mistakes that I did as I built this company over the last 8 years is today we help dental support organizations, medical support or MSOs really optimize the top of the funnel journey for the patient so that every patient, every lead that comes into the office or the call center is optimized, and if optimized for conversions, but beyond that, we also understand the marketing aspect of that as well as the operation side of it. So that's Patient Prism in a nutshell right now. Is it really is about optimizing conversations and understanding deeply how patient flow occurs in an organization and what prevents it from happening. And sometimes it's not marketing, sometimes it's not sales, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes because we thought, right, Jake, I'm sorry for continuing this. We thought that it was all about the receptionist or the call center agent, and we knew it was always. But then we realized over the years that sometimes it was a bad lead and the marketing was not driving the rest. So no matter how good the receptionist was, it's not going to do it. And then the biggest revelation was that being able to train AI to contextually understand operational issues, capacity, insurance,
Mm-hmm.
language barriers, pricing objections, all that stuff. Understanding operational challenges was the big epiphany where we thought that if we could bring these things together, we can drive growth on autopilot.
Yeah. Yeah. As you're, running any kind of business, I think the experienced leaders have grown to realize that the points where your company engages with the customer, but when that little tip point happens, right? Those are the most important points in business. So in dentistry, obviously, when the dental services or procedures are happening, the dentist is talking to a patient. But before that is when a patient first hears about the office, maybe engaging in the website, and then calls. So that call, that phone call, or that outreach, right? Maybe it's email, maybe it's via some kind of app or something, is crucial. And that's where you live, right? You live in this point where, and really where you started out with Patient Prism was phone calls. Well, was recording the phone calls, analyzing the phone calls, and I'm sure you've expanded since then, but just kind of setting the context here. That's where Patient Prism lives, is like understanding what patients are saying to the people who work in a dental office.
Yeah, absolutely. And then and understanding more on, okay, here's somebody who called or filled out a form or texted us
Yeah,
or chatted
yeah.
with us. Here's what they wanted. Here's um and we couldn't schedule them because of these reasons. And we launched this concept called early warning signals, right? The idea in business is if you knew early enough how to prevent a hurricane from happening, there's no way we can know that. I mean, maybe we can figure something out. But if you knew if something broke just now and you had the ability to fix it quickly, then you would fix it because if it helps your business. And so what we devised is because AI got better and better and better over the course of the last 8 years, and it's exponentially becoming better, we are able to now understand signals in conversations that are
Mhm.
beyond just the receptionist making mistakes, that are operational signals like, oh, you have capacity challenges in these offices, you have insurance challenges here, you have out of network challenges here. But by the way, in this place, you need more training on pricing. So the continuum that we have worked on with Patient Prism is really how do you convert hindsight into insight and foresight, right? All this data we're gathering, unstructured data, which is conversations. Like, okay, well, it tells you what happened, right? But the next generation of analytics, which are going to be AI driven, are going to say, why did this happen?
Yeah,
Like, why did it happen? Like what, and then eventually, what could I have done to prevent it from happening? Or what should I do more of? What should I do less of? And it's really the evolution of AI,
yeah,
is to give us insight and foresight into what we should be doing less of and more of in real time, so that even the middle management of your organization can take that data and affect change without needing all these very sophisticated guys at the very top trying to analyze, understand, and then have directives. AI is the I now what did Sam Altman say? You know, it's you have like Albert Einstein teaching you math or physics. It's the same concept. It's you imagine having the best tool in that, telling your middle management how to function without having to actually do anything else to figure out how to grow your business.
yeah. So I think we should dig into this because this is absolutely incredibly important right now is for business owners to understand what's going on right now. So everything the juice, think about all these phone calls that are happening in a dental office and how rich they are with information. They're so rich and I mean about operations, about the marketplace, about competitors, about the individual staff that's there. It's all inside this phone call, right? All this
Right.
information. And up until now, we didn't really have fast. I mean, you guys did, Patient Prism did, because you were way ahead of this, Amal. But most people didn't have a way to analyze that. So now there's ways to analyze it. You all are way ahead of that, but it's getting people to think. And my belief is the first step of all of this is getting those things documented, these like points of contact, right? So I'll give you an example, Amal, where we do a lot of one-on-one coaching now with our members. So we have a suite of coaches. When somebody comes in as a DEO member, they want to improve their profitability, we hook them up with the coach. Well, those coaching calls are the juice. There's so much juice in those coaching calls, right? They're telling us what their problems are. If we have 100 of these, 1,000 of these, we're able to extract a lot of the similar data. So step one, though, is getting those recorded, right? And getting those not just recorded into a way that can be analyzed. And this is what you solved 7 years ago, right? So if I'm signing up with Patient Prism, this is not supposed to be actually an advertisement for Patient Prism. I just want to talk about how ahead of you are with this. But you're getting the calls recorded, and they're all getting into some area, some data warehouse, some place where data is stored, and you have all those, which means you can start layering on top AI to start reading them. So we're Amal, we're here. You've been here for 7 years, but like everyone's mindset, I think, is getting here that they've got to have these things recorded and put into a data spot that's readable.
Yeah, and then we've got to actually drive growth, right? With all this data. We've recorded, analyzed them, but what makes us a little unique, and it's again unique not because we figured this out on our own. We made tons of mistakes building it. It was understanding that people don't really care about AI. Okay? People don't really care about technology. People don't care about how good my features are. What they care about is how do I alleviate a pain point that they have. And so once we figured that out, Jake, like during the pandemic is when we figured out like I don't need to really talk about AI a lot. What I'm going to talk about is what is your biggest problem? And let
Hmm.
me figure out if AI is the right use case for that or not. And so we literally went back and rebuilt the entire product from the ground up all over again from first line of code starting in 21 and rebuilt it and relaunched Patient Prism all over again. Because sometimes imagine, Jake, if you had an opportunity to go back in time and redo some of these decisions that you made, you would do them differently, right?
Yeah.
And we took that big risk and saying, my God, we were not customer focused as much as we should have been. We were
Yeah.
not pain focused. We were just focused on building the great product. But then we realized if we focused on people's pain, then the product will just take care of itself.
Yeah. Would you say that it's almost like not if AI can help you in the process, it's almost like, well, yes, but and is there clues to your problem inside your phone calls with your staff? Like that is almost like whatever problem you're dealing with, like the capacity or training or 9 million problems, are there things that are happening when your front office or any of your staff is talking to a patient that will help you solve that? If so, we can get some software involved and extract all of those learnings for you very quickly to create plans.
Yeah, and today AI is getting better and better at unstructured data than ever before. In the past, when we started Patient Prism, we had to structure all these conversations into these buckets. We needed humans to create ground truth and everything else. But today, we AI is the ability to take a whole bunch of unstructured data, a whole bunch of information from everywhere, from all the conversations, and find all the needles in the different haystacks.
Hmm.
That's what Patient Prism does today. It's really
So
finding the needle in the haystack.
let's talk about some specific needles. I bet you have some crazy stories or use cases or things that were discovered. So just by the way, you should send this Amal to every large group that you're looking at. Like this is the kind of fundamental theory is let's say you got thousands of phone calls that are happening every day. Get those recorded, get those analyzed, and the possibilities become endless. That is the oil that everyone needs to start mining is what happens on these phone calls. Have to. I mean, have to, right?
100%.
If you're not doing it and so and the other office down the street is over the time, it's going to compound. They're going to learn faster and they're going to get ahead. So what are some of the, I don't know, some of the more interesting or crazier things that you've discovered through having access
In,
to all this information?
in dental, I'm obviously we're a dentist entrepreneur organization. So
Sure,
yeah,
started at dental. Yeah, I mean, I would imagine it's
like
wild.
we do QBRs with our clients every quarter. We do
Yeah.
monthly touch points with our clients. We provide all this data on a platter. Like an insight would be, hey, in Florida right now, an insight would be in Florida right now, there is an average wait time for Invisalign of 32 days.
Mhm.
Your average
Across the state or just
of the
across
state,
the state group?
and I would say this to a group that has a lot of Florida office versus Georgia. Or then we can granular down that. By the way, every time a patient calls about dental implants or implant related stuff, our team doesn't mention financing, only mention it 50% of the time. Right?
Right.
I mean, this is like 6 levels deeper, right? So
Mhm.
now what do we do, right? We're advertising Invisalign. We're trying to get more starts happen in our offices, but somehow we're booking them out 30 days. And so what should we do? Well, we have a supply problem. We have a
Yeah.
capacity problem, not a demand problem. So let's stop marketing. Let's add create capacity, put them on a
Yeah.
different schedule, and let's figure out how to triage for revenue, not just
Mhm.
first in, first out. And when you can tell people that, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
what in the world is that? Another problem I'll tell you we solved for a large group was idea of if you have a big footprint in a geographic area, new patients are calling in, you don't have providers, and we have a mechanism where we can tell you that, hey, you could put this patient somewhere else. It's a brand new patient. They don't have an existing relationship. So how do we optimize for capacity, right? We're not airline business where we know exactly, we have to get the right fare codes in every beat, right? So if everybody at Delta Airlines bought basic economy tickets, Delta would be losing money hand over fist.
Mhm.
So patient mix is something we talk about a lot. Is that payer mix is important. You have to have the right insurances, fee for service, all that stuff. But about patient mix, in order for you to drive the most amount of revenue per hour, you need the right butts in the right seats at the right time, paying the right price. And if we can help you triage that through AI, then you have only two hygienists and you have one doctor. And
Mhm.
doctors need to produce $2,000 an hour. Well, you can produce $2,000 an hour if you're prioritizing hygiene patients over specialty patients, especially if you're driving those specialty patients from Google Ads. So this is what insight and foresight
Yeah.
means.
Yeah.
It's not about, I didn't talk about AI at all in this
Well,
question.
and it's just the beginning because once you have access to the words being spoken to from front desk to patients, right? It's only gonna increase the amount of insights that happen there. It's only this next year we're gonna be able to get more insights than this year, and next year it's just getting access to that is the key, and we all need to be figuring out how to get access to these bits of information that are happening inside of our companies. So Amal, what you were talking about this 7 or 8 years ago, probably longer. Of
Yeah,
course, now it's the hot topic, and
yeah.
you get. I'm sure you're very humble, so you're probably not doing it, but you got to be like, hey guys, I've been hey, welcome to the show. I've been talking about this for 8 years. How have you been thinking about AI? And like, how are you staying up to speed on it? And what's the future? Like, what's your mindset here?
It's tough. It's tough because it's being democratized.
Mm,
The tech is being democratized. So what you have to think about as a CEO of an AI company today is let's not chase features, right? Because somebody can always build a feature that's faster, cheaper, better than you, right? You got to think about a comprehensive, it has to be a product that just can be disrupted with like all the changes and it has to be a product that supports an organization at various stages in the organization. If it's just a feature, oh, let me launch the virtual receptionist, that's just a feature, right?
yeah.
Okay? Let me launch an AI assistant, that's a feature, right? That's not a product. So there's going to be all these companies that are going to come in board. You got large language models and all these things coming in, and they're going to launch companies, raise tons of capital with lots of money coming in and build features, but you can be disruptive because if that's all you got, then somebody will build it. I mean, OpenAI will come up with a thing that will just be included part of your $20 a month feature. So it can't be that. So that's what I've learned is like, you've got to really um, like understand what your customers want, and you have to really have continuous conversations with your customers, your best customers, your biggest customers, and continuously ask them, what can I do to solve your pain? What can I do to, and how can I make my product feature rich? Not just make my feature, not just call it my feature, because we had OCR people that come in long term. Well, you don't need OCR anymore because GPT can do that, right?
Mhm.
Or you can launch again. There's the new hype about AI reception. Wonderful. Guess what? Anybody can build an AI receptionist tomorrow. You need the functions API from OpenAPI and go get it done. But how do you get it done? Make sure it's HIPAA compliant. How do you make sure there is the process has to be
Well,
fit within the
yeah.
overall.
Well, and how do you know like how the human who's calling the AI, what they're saying, how they're reacting, what words they're saying? The problem still remains, right? You have to know how your company is interacting with the customer. And if it's AI or a front desk, Susie at the front desk, it doesn't matter. That part's all going to be automated. What's not going to be automated is this conversation that happens, and we need to know what's happening so we can draw out insights to make changes.
You know, I think personally, Jake, is we will never ever, AI will never ever, in my view, diminish the value of a human connection. Okay? Our job is to just identify issues in the human, facilitate so that humans can spend more time with other humans, right? You can have all the things in the world, but in my view, I have a more different view of AI than most AI got. Oh, AI is going to rule the world. Great. I personally think we use AI to really understand things that were hidden from us. Like you said earlier, the conversations were happening throughout millennia. How do we find all the signal from the noise? How do we find AI allows me to find so many needles every day from this haystack of conversations
Right.
that we're doing 10,000 calls an hour. And I'm finding 100 needles out of that every day.
It's crazy.
That is where, and those needles are actually moving the needle for growth.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think the lesson here as a business leader is just stay focused on the problem that you're solving. The way that the problem arises could change. I mean, I'm just kind of thinking out to the future, crazy future, which is like you have AI kind of answering the call on the dental end, and everyone's very excited about these bots that can work on their behalf, right? Go through my email, schedule their. So even let's say I'm all that there's two bots talking to each other, we still need to know as the business owners what those bots are like, how that interaction between the two bots is happening, right? So that they can become patients. So like that the problem, what you're saying is like as business leaders, because a lot of these leaders have the same thing. They got AI coming everywhere. We're all people are worried, they're not sure where their business fits into the stack, all that. Focus on the problem, stay in super tight with your customer, and just keep iterating.
100%. And then and it really is part of what we do a lot is we look at leadership. I think leadership is where organizations don't really, because it's everybody thinks about, okay, let me just chase the next bright, shiny object. It really is not about that. It's about, and people, the organizations that have better leadership, Jake, are going to do better, period. With anything, adoption, change management, and everything else, right? It's what the biggest vacuum that you guys solve, frankly, in the dental group dentistry world is the leadership vacuum. Like, are you self-aware? Do you know your self-limiting beliefs? Are you willing to let go? Are you willing to delegate? Are you willing to bring in more leaders? Are you going to invest in things that are going to make the organization move forward, especially for founder doctors? Like, are you going to get out of the way to
Yeah.
pave the way for future growth? That is where the fun is I think if AI can help in doing certain routine mundane tasks, but the challenge really is that I see in organizations that are super successful versus not is really about leadership, and that it starts and ends there.
Yeah, I love it. So the main takeaways here are focus on the problem and focus on your leadership and developing leaders and finding leaders. That's what's going to continue to win. I love hearing it from you, Amal, because yeah, you've just been on the forefront of this since day one. Um, yeah, you really led through this massive change to the point now where we're at this AI inflection point, and you've really had to really live that, I think, for 7 or 8 years. And just so everyone knows, Patient Prism expanding into other verticals, the medical industry expanding over into Europe potentially, and blue skies ahead for you and Patient Prism. So thanks so much, Amal. I love this conversation. I love hearing how you think about your business.
Thank you. And anything you need from the DEO, you guys were one of the first, were the grounds on which we launched. And you paved the way for us when we started the business. And I'll always have deep appreciation for the organization that provided me the groundwork to build what we have been built today. So thank you again for what you guys have done for us in the past.
Appreciate that, Amal. All right, we'll keep in touch. Thank you so much.